Yeah, okay. Well, you said, delegating. And, that was one of the things that I really did have to learn as a leader is delegating, because I was so used to doing everything myself. And, when I was promoted to my first management position and I was given an admin, I'd never had an admin. And I remember she came to me one day and said, Ellen, I am supposed to do that for you. I think it was some report that I was working on. And I said, oh, that would be great, because it's taking up a lot of my time. So
is that what that is?
Exactly. So I learned how to delegate. And that's also something that has served me well as an entrepreneur, is recognizing you just can't do it all yourself. You just physically, emotionally, you don't have enough bandwidth to do it all. So,
and Welcome to another episode of Leading with Audacious Confidence. I'm your host, Alicia Curry, and with me today is the amazing Dr. Ellen Contente. And I am going to share a little bit about her, and then I'm going to bring her on to talk with you all about leadership and confidence. So Dr. Ellen is the founder of Heart-Centered Programs, a training and consulting business empowering people to live and work with more passion, purpose, and play. As a certified woman-owned business, international speaker, and business coach, she is frequently requested for her warm, engaging style and her ability to connect with people of all walks of life. People resonate with her genuine and transparent stories. She is a certified virtual presenter in Zoom, Webex, GoToWebinar, Adobe Connect, Teams, and RingCentral, and can engage your audience for optimal learning to maximize your training investment. Ellen is a stress relief expert and is licensed and certified in stress mastery, mindfulness, heart math resonance, meditation, humor for stress relief. I love that. Spiritual practices. She's the Amazon best-selling author of M&M's Motivational Musings to Live an Inspired Life, co-author in Rock Your Life, and licensed Big Game Leadership Program facilitator. She has her doctorate and master's in spiritual psychology and a bachelor's in management. And she is from Los Angeles. So welcome, Dr. Ellen. Welcome to Leading with Audacious Confidence.
Well, thank you so much, Alicia. It is so great to be here with all of you today. And it's always an interesting experience when somebody reads your bio. You're like, oh my God, have I done all those things?
Like,
is that really me? Who is that person?
I know. I think we just need to read our bios every now and then.
Yeah.
Ourselves that we are confident human beings that have accomplished some stuff.
Absolutely. That will give us audacious confidence if we have somebody read our bio every day.
Yes, that's what we need, a bio track.
There you go.
So I wanted to ask you, because my first question is always, what is your leadership philosophy?
Well, my leadership philosophy has always started with self-leadership. And in order to lead other people, you need to be able to lead yourself first. So that's always been my leadership philosophy. But it's also, believing in other people's expertise and trusting their recommendations. And as a leader, your role is to guide, motivate, coach, get everybody on board with your vision. So you need to sometimes trust other people's vision, that they do have your best at heart as well. So I think, over the years, I've learned how to kind of settle into that trust of other people and allow them to lead me sometimes. So and it's serving me better and better as I've gotten older to just let some of that go.
That's so true, how important it is to allow other people, because sometimes your vision can only take you so far, and someone else has the other part of the vision that can continue to grow your vision. I always think of Jeff Bezos. I'm sure when he started in his garage with the books, just trying to sell books on creating Amazon and selling books, he did not envision all of this that Amazon has become.
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine that he didn't.
Right? So it's really allowing other visions to blossom and grow, and visions from other sources as well. So I love that.
Yeah.
But self leadership is so important. It is so vital. So I've read your bio, but in your bio doesn't talk about your extensive and really stellar career in the corporate arena. You want to share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spent the first 30 plus years of I guess, my career in corporate America. And I started off in sales. It wasn't something I necessarily chose, but it was a great job that I got right out of college. I worked for Clairol as a sales rep, and moved up the ranks, not necessarily with Clairol, but moved up the ranks in sales, and found, something that I really enjoyed. And I ended up in technology sales for a good 20 plus years of my career. And, one of the things that I learned in sales is probably that's probably the first place that I really learned about self-leadership, because sales is all about the numbers, and you've got to make your numbers. You don't make your numbers, you're out. So, and it's something that is serving me as an entrepreneur as well. But, doing well in your job means you get promoted. And I was promoted many times into leadership roles. And, one of the things that I learned is, now I've got to be responsible for somebody else's success. It's not just my success, but it's the success of this person. And then ultimately it's the success of the organization. And I think, initially I was just focused on me. What did I need to do to be successful? And that was all. It was like, if I made my numbers, I could go home at the end of the day and I could get a good night's sleep. But when I was responsible for a team of people, it wasn't that easy. It was like, well, I'm making my numbers. Why aren't you making your numbers? And I realized that was a big part of my job and a big part of my responsibility. And I think I really grew as a person. I grew as a leader, and it also built my confidence in terms of what my abilities were, how I could coach other people to be as successful as myself. So, eventually I obviously left the corporate world, but it was a really good learning path.
Training ground.
Growth. Training ground. Thank you. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Training ground for it's that, moving into your 60s. It's my 60s moments here. But yeah, it was a really good learning ground for having your own business, for sure.
Yes, because there are so many things you're going to have to learn how to delegate and train people up in, and do all those things when you are the CEO and leader. And you're just not working for someone, and you can go home and just say, all right, I did a good job's work. I did my numbers, and end the story. I want to go back because.
And it's interesting. Go ahead.
You make your statement, because I'm going to ask you another question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you said, delegating, and, that was one of the things that I really did have to learn as a leader, is delegating, because I was so used to doing everything myself. And, when I was promoted to my first management position, and I was given an admin, I'd never had an admin. And I remember she came to me one day and said, Ellen, I am supposed to do that for you. I think it was some report that I was working on. And I said, oh, that would be great, because it's taking up a lot of my time. So
is that what that is?
Exactly. So I learned how to delegate. And that's also something that has served me well as an entrepreneur, is recognizing you just can't do it all yourself. You just physically, emotionally, you don't have enough bandwidth to do it all. So.
And I think it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle so much with, is that piece of delegation. I wanted to go back, since you did mention your first promotion. Were you promoted based on the numbers that you did, because you were so good at what you did, then you were promoted? Or was it something you were seeking to have more responsibility? How did that come around for you to get into leadership?
Right. That's a great question. I'm thinking back. I mean, we're talking in my mid
I
20s,
know,
so
it's a
it was
long,
it was a long, long, long
a
time
long
ago.
time
But
ago.
I
When the
mean,
dinosaurs roamed the earth, I know.
yeah, right. When Ugmug was,
Yeah.
was king. um, that's my dad's. Whoever Ugmug invented everything. So
Every
it goes back to Ugmug. But
Ugma.
I do believe that it was probably a little bit of both. I mean, I've always aspired to be my own boss. So to be a leader in whatever company I was working for was definitely something that I was interested in. And I
Mhm.
always asked in the interview, like, what's the career track path for this particular position? So I always did want to move into leadership. But I do believe initially I was promoted because I was the top salesperson in the company. I have the awards to prove that. I was the
Mhm.
top salesperson. So I was really good at what I did. And I was a people person.
Mhm.
So taking the fact that I was good at sales and I was good working with people, it seemed like a natural path to promote me to, a management position.
So you work now with other companies. How you were promoted seems to be like how corporate America promotes in general, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So
Yeah.
in doing that, do you see that some people get overly stressed because now they're being taken into another realm where I was a rock star here, but now you've put me here with this responsibility and I can't navigate that. I don't know how to do that. Have you seen that in your work now
Yeah.
that you're working with
Yeah.
corporate?
Oh, absolutely. And especially given, what we've all been living in the last year,
Hmm.
so many people have been asked to do things they've never done before. I mean, moving away from an office environment with all the support and now being told, okay, you're going to need to work from home, but you still have to do your job.
Hmm.
And now you're going to have to do it online and you're going to have to figure out how to do all that has created an overwhelming amount of stress for people, and that's just in the workplace versus all the personal stress that people have been experiencing. But whenever you put somebody into a role without training them,
Mm.
without giving them the tools and the resources that they need, either that person's going to be overwhelmed and stressed, or they're going to learn pretty quickly what they need to do to get on board, right? Calling on all their resilient traits,
Hmm.
looking at where they've been successful in the past and what do I need to do to build my confidence to be able to be successful now.
Yes. Yes. And I feel like the training part, um, sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. Is that
Yeah.
something that you help corporate uh, uh, with training up leaders and helping them kind of navigate that themselves?
Yeah, one of the areas that I focus on is working with leaders, both, in that role as a leader and people that are, in whatever role they are, because everybody's a leader, no matter what their position is. But helping people look at where they're stressed, look at what they're doing to better manage their stress and anxiety, and making sure that they're, availing themselves of the tools that they have, whether it's their own internal tools or it's things that they can, ask for from their organizations.
Hmm.
And, most corporations today, have a lot of relationships with third parties to provide mental health care, stress management care, and obviously physical health care. But a lot of people don't take advantage of it. And
Hmm.
that's what creates a lot of the stress and overwhelm is they're not using the resources that are available, and they're certainly not putting themselves first on their to-do list as in self-care, and that is really, really important. So that's the thing that I do focus on with people is helping them manage their stress.
Yeah. Yeah, this time has shifted so many people. I'm a Colby certified consultant. I know we're in the same group, same business development group, but with having a lot of people make that shift, sometimes their brain isn't wired in a way to handle all of this that was put on them in such a fast kind of time frame. It's like one day you were sitting in your office and The next day, it's like, figure all this stuff out. You know, within 24 to 48 hours, we had to move to home offices. We work from home. So it was something, you know, I have a home office, you have a home office. We go out and we work with our clients, but we understand this Zoom world.
Right.
Some people just couldn't. How are you seeing, because you do some training in online?
Yeah. Well, you know,
how are you seeing that this whole scenario has thrown people, and how you help them manage that and gain the confidence to do their job even?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, the number one tool, regardless of whatever's going on, is to focus on the silver linings, you know, focus on what's positive. When people get stuck in overwhelm, like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. How am I going to get through this? You know, their brain shuts down. So, you know, what we focus on expands.
Yeah.
So if we looked at, you know, everything that we've all experienced over this last year from the framework or the perspective of, you know, something positive has come out of this, right? I have learned a lot of new things, and that's
boy,
built my confidence. You know, the more new things you tackle, and even if they're not successful the first time out, but you said, okay, well, that didn't work. What do I need to do different the next time? Or, oh my God, this stresses me out, but I got through it. You know, that, well, you know what, I didn't die just because I didn't give the best online presentation, right? Or, you know, that the technology wasn't working properly, or, you know, why I couldn't figure it all out. You know, each time you look at something that didn't quite go the way you hoped, but you survived it, right? That's another like notch in your belt. And like I said, when we focus on the gratitude, the silver linings, the positives that have come out of, you know, all of this, those are things we want to keep in our back pocket to pull out whenever we're stressed. I call it like your toolkit, your stress management toolkit, right? What do I need in this moment to get through the situation, right? Do I need to just breathe? Right? Or do I need something a little bigger? Like, you know, I need to breathe, do some meditation, go for a walk, you know, take a break. So those are the things that I help people do. And you know what? I do my best as well to practice what I teach. So
yes, because there are things you can change,
important.
and there are things that you just cannot change. Like if your technology goes down, what are you going to do?
Right.
You know, you cannot make the internet work if it's not working. So you need to learn how to breathe and just wait a minute and try again, and not get all crazy trying to,
right.
oh
exactly.
God, just because you can't change that. If the internet goes down, it goes down. So what
I have been on, go ahead.
No, finish, and then I'll ask you the next question. I know we're having like a little delay, but that's okay.
You know, you were talking about you can't help when the internet goes down. You know, that's where I have grown tremendously from, you know, well, I've been doing online trainings for years, but not at the level I've been doing. But I was literally in the middle of a training with a global client. I think they were out in New Zealand or something. And the internet went down in the middle of my presentation. I was mid-sentence. And I don't think they realized it because there was also a delay. So I'm like, you know, on the back end, like, okay, what do I need to do? I got to go find the link again. I'm going to log on, get the PowerPoint. I was like, dun, 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 dun. Like barely missed a beat. And, you know, when it was all said and done, I thought, oh my gosh, look at how far you've come, Ellen. That didn't even derail you. You just
right into it.
Yeah, like that.
Right into it, just like that. And I have a terminology for that in confidence. I call it your tags, your talents, your assets, your gifts, and your skills. If you can catalog those skills that you have acquired over this last year. You know, there's so I heard someone talking on a meeting the other day that she's a videographer and she can't do weddings. She can't videotape. So her business is gone. And what am I going to do? And I don't know how, because unemployment is running out. And she was just going down a list of all the things that she cannot do right now because she can't go videotape weddings. And I had an opportunity to speak to her, and I just said, you know, there are so many things you can do. You can edit videos, you can pull things together, because there are people now who probably want videos of things that they're doing, and they don't even know how to pull those things together. So while you're home, I'm sure there are a ton of things. Just go through your toolkit of all the skills that you've learned over the years as a videographer and offer other things in your bag. Marketing, you've marketed your business as a business owner. How can you help someone else market their business? You know, that we get so stuck in, this is what I do and this is how I do it, that we don't take the time to look at all the things that it takes to do that one thing.
Right. And other ways you can apply the same talent.
And how can you reapply it? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to ask you, what has been like your biggest challenge, mistake in leadership? Like it was like, oh, how do I show my face again? One of those. Have you had one of those? If you have, what has it been and how did you overcome it?
You know, I don't know if I had one of those exactly, like how am I going to show my face, other than, you know, I probably had some trainings to some big corporate clients that didn't go as well as I had hoped. But I don't know if that's a leadership challenge. One thing I can say as a leader of my own business is initially one of the biggest mistakes that I made is focusing more on the product and not as much on the revenue. And not really looking at, you know, my business as a business. I was very focused initially on myself, which is, you know, I am the business, but not partnering, not having anybody on my bench, and being so focused on having the best products in the world, we market them to bring in the revenue, because without the revenue, there is no company. So, you know, that's... And that has had a domino impact.
Yes, struggled with that early in the business. It's like you're trying to make the product so amazing that you forget, oh, I have to sell it. Right. And coming from a background in sales.
Right, I know. You would think. I think I just didn't want the pressure. I didn't want the pressure of the quota anymore. So I kind of like forgot about the sales part of it and just said, oh, I get to do whatever I want now. It's my business and I get to produce the products that I want because it's my business. But yes, you still have to sell the products. And that is also, you have to sell yourself. So I think one of the other, you know, if it's a leadership challenge, but it's in, you know, in context to what we're talking about, I think some of the other things that got in my way was having what they call the imposter syndrome. And I didn't really know there was a name for that, but kind of that lack of confidence or belief in yourself, even though I have years and years and years of experience and I have certifications and degrees and licenses and all kinds of things.
All kinds of things.
I still yeah, I think I still felt like, well, who am I? Nobody knows heart-centered programs. So who am I to come to the big girl table and, you know, sell myself or sell my product? So I think that is probably the biggest leadership challenge that I face, personal challenge.
And how have you overcome it? I'll ask, have you, instead of how did you? Because, you know, sometimes that little imposter tries to creep back in every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I won't say she's 100%, you know, gone. She does like to show her face and you know, I hear her voice from time to time. You know, I keep a couple of wristbands actually that remind me to overcome that. So I took them off so I could read them easier. One says, do one thing every day that scares you. And so that helps. Yeah. And the other one is say yes and figure it out later. And that has served me because, you know, I can figure anything out. Just because I've never done it before doesn't mean I can't do it. It doesn't mean I can't do it really well or even better than somebody that's already done it. So I just keep reminding myself of that. And I remind myself as well that I have started businesses, from many, many years ago that laid the groundwork for where I am today.
Mm.
I knew I wanted to have my own business. I've been a serial entrepreneur for a really long time. And, I'm finally in the right place with, doing the things that I absolutely love, that I know I'm good at. And I'm just owning who I am. I think each decade has been better than the one before. And I think coming into my 60s, I'm just really owning myself and
Yeah,
recognizing I don't need to be anybody else.
exactly.
That was part of the imposter. I was trying to be somebody else. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, people resonate with who I am. And I'm not perfect. So stop trying to be perfect. Just be yourself.
I love that. That is perfect, because it's so true. Every decade you like you gain more stripes or something, and you just
Yeah.
start being more confident in who you are and what you're doing.
Right.
I want to just talk a little bit again, going back to that imposter syndrome, because do you find, you're not the only person who's awesome in sales, was top sales producer and leader in a company, and then shifted to your own business, and then it became harder to do the exact same thing you were doing for someone else to do for yourself.
Right.
Is there something in that transition that makes it difficult that you've recognized? Because you're not, like I said, you're not the first person that talked about, having that challenge.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, it is about confidence. It is about you're starting something, completely new. It's your business, it's your baby, but it's not proven yet. So I think for me, when I was working for technology companies that were very successful, I had a proven product. And, picking up the phone and saying, hey, I'm calling from, XYZ company, it was easy to get a meeting. It was like, oh yeah, definitely come on in.
They had brand recognition.
Yes,
they had a great proven product. They had a system. They had a process. They had all that already laid out.
Yeah,
so it was
absolutely all laid out, all done. And actually, I didn't have to worry about the marketing and worrying about the accounting and worrying about all the other pieces that make it successful. So it was a lot easier to sell for somebody else. So when I was selling for myself, again, I think there was really no brand yet. So, and people were like, well, I never heard of you. So I'm not going to take a risk on you. So you really had to get over that hurdle to, again, believe in yourself, believe in your value, believe in your product. And if the product is you, man, you got to believe that, you are it.
Yes.
So act as if, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I really resonated with writing a chapter in the book Rock Your Life, because it was all about that. It was all about just believing in who you are and just going for it.
Yeah, that is awesome. So I'm going to ask about the Bigger Game Leadership Program. What is that? Because you facilitate that program.
Yeah, and this is one of my favorite leadership programs. I didn't design it or write it, but I'm licensed to deliver it. And it's really about getting people out of their comfort zones. And when you work with leaders that want to move their business forward, whether it's entrepreneurs, whether it's managers, whether it's CEOs, it's about, well, where am I stuck in my comfort zone? Where's my team stuck? Where is our organization stuck? And, what do we need to do that feels both scary, like, oh my God, there's no way we can do that, and exciting at the same time, which is called gulp. Like, what makes me gulp?
Jumping out of a plane.
Yeah, and I don't think I will ever do that. So, but I know people enjoy it. But it's a full 2-day program that is actually played on like a tic-tac-toe board. I mean, if you're going to play the actual game, that's how you play it. It's on a tic-tac-toe board of different squares, comfort zone. What are you hungry for? What are you passionate about? What are you yearning for to bring forward? And it's designed to get you to really start to see where you're stuck, where you want to go, and take one bold action to move yourself forward.
That's audacious.
Oh, it is so audacious.
Yes.
It is so audacious. And, I've done it on weekends, as a 2-day workshop. I've done it online as a 6-week workshop. So it can be adapted to, different teams and different formats, but it's very powerful. And when people have taken the program, one of the comments I always get is, I came in stuck, not really knowing what I wanted or where I wanted to move forward or what was in my way. And I left with so much more clarity and so much more excitement and, looking forward to the next step. So
wow.
that's it's fun too. It's really fun.
Yeah, that's powerful. When people are transformed, when they're going from stuck to, oh my gosh, clarity, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
So I know that you have twins.
I do.
That's wonderful. Twin boys?
I have a boy and a girl.
A boy and so you hit the jackpot. You did.
I did.
all in one. You got one of each, one time. So how have you because they're in their early adulthood, how have you taught them about their own self-confidence, anything that you've shared with them, and also your journey that you've expressed any kind of leadership, like how to be a good leader or anything like that? Give us some of those insights into what you've taught your children.
Well, I have always taught my children to be self-sufficient. I mean, I think part of my job as their parent is to bring them up to be happy, healthy, self-sufficient adults doing something that they're passionate about. And, just like, I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted my own business. I wanted to do my own thing. I have encouraged both of my kids to follow their dreams, follow their passions. My son wants to be an actor, and, I had like toes in that pool at one time, and I know how challenging it can be. But it's like, if that's what you're passionate about, right? Here's what you're going to need to do to be successful. You're going to have to get yourself up in the morning. You're going to need to have the tools and do the work to be successful. But it's totally up to you. You get to make that choice. And, it's the same thing with my daughter. She's very artistic. And I remember she likes to post all kinds of stuff, right? In today's day and age on TikTok and wherever people post things. I post in a lot of places, so I know TikTok. I know TikTok either. But she had posted one of her drawings and she got back all this amazing feedback. People started following her, and she, from that, she decided to start a business online, creating not furniture, clothing with her artwork and posters and all kinds of things. And I just encouraged her, right? Here's your opportunity to be in business for yourself. But it's going to take work. It's something that you have to get up every day and put work into. And,
so it's right back to your philosophy on leadership. It's about self-leadership. It's about getting yourself up, following your passion, but knowing that you have to do it.
Yes. And you can always ask for help. I think it's about finding that delicate balance between, when do I need to push myself and do what I need to do and hold myself accountable to those things? And when do I need to recognize that I'm beyond the scope of my own strengths and abilities, and I need to ask for support? I need to, and I'm speaking to myself, hire,
of course,
hire somebody, right? Bring in someone, a bench or a partner to do the artwork or to do the marketing or to do the accounting, right? So that's what I'm trying to teach them as well. I want you to do this because you want to do it and do what you say you're going to do. Be accountable to yourself. But also, if you find yourself stuck, I'm here to support you, right? And if I can't help you, we'll find the right person too.
Perfect. Beautiful. I know my son is 12 now. He'll be 13 next month. And he is, he'll be 13 by the time this airs. He is, he wants to start gaming and become a gaming YouTuber. So
Yeah.
his thing. He wants to start doing gaming on YouTube. So I'm like, okay, because he follows a lot of gamers on YouTube.
Right.
So I'm like, go for it. I'm always like
Yeah.
trying to encourage my children to do entrepreneurial things. And so
Right.
it's really great when you can encourage them early to start doing those things.
Yeah.
One's in college, one's in high school, leaving high school soon, and he is still in middle school and he wants to start his own business. So I'm like, go for it, bud.
I think that's great. That's great. The sooner the better, right?
Yep, absolutely. And there's wide open space for opportunity if you see it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there anything that comes to mind about leadership or confidence that you want to share that I did not ask you about that you think might be important for people to know, whether it's your journey or something from a client that you want to share?
I think the most important thing about leadership is what's the vision, right? What is it that you're working towards? What gets you excited and jazzed to get up every day? And keep asking yourself that question: am I still working towards that? Am I still excited about that? Has the vision changed? Has the way that I need to mission changed? Has the journey changed? I think these are questions we want to continue to ask ourselves, because I think one thing you could end up with, or wake up one day and ask yourself, well, why am I doing this? It's not something I'm passionate about anymore. And if that's the answer, well, you need to ask yourself, has something changed and I need to revisit that internally? Or truly is the goal just not important anymore, and I need to choose a different goal that I can be more passionate about? As we were talking about earlier, there's different ways of achieving the goal. So maybe the way I'm going towards it is no longer valid. And as a leader, self-leading yourself, it's like, okay, how can I achieve this in a different way that I can be passionate about? Because if there's no passion, there's no fun. And if there's no fun, then you're not going to work on it. If you don't work on it, there's not going to be any success. And
absolutely,
at the end of the day, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? And I love that in your bio, you talk about how much humor and fun and all these things, because it's important. Work is work, but we can make it fun.
Right.
We can have a good time at work and enjoy what we do. Sometimes people go to work and you're trying to tell your face that you're alive, It's like,
tell your face.
Because it's painful. I even saw that today. I'm like, I'm going grocery shopping and the teller is like, can you tell your face you're alive today and smile or something?
Well, and smiling is so important, and it's so easy to do, and just the act of smiling can make you feel better even when you're not. But what we're talking about really does tie to leadership, in terms of it is the leader's responsibility, in my opinion, to connect the person's self-worth, their value, their mission, what's important to them, to the corporate mission. So the checker in the supermarket that's checking your groceries and checking you out, they're not a checker, right? They are the person who's responsible for creating a positive experience for the customer, who's going to want to come back.
Right.
And the more you can tie the overall mission to the person's value and what's important to them, then you're creating another leader in your organization. Because let's face it, not every job is fun. Not every, some jobs are monotonous and some jobs are hard, and we live in a very challenging and stressful world. But life is meant to be enjoyed. So we've got to find something that we enjoy about what we're doing, and where our part is in the success of the company. And that's what's going to connect us. I'll be honest, I go to one supermarket over every other one that I can go to. And I have one every mile, so I could probably go to 5 different stores. I go to the one where the checkers know my name. They're always smiling. They say hello. they make it a good experience, So I think that's really important for a leader, is you've got to make sure that your people are connecting the dots, because if they're not, maybe they are better off somewhere else. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing had I not connected my dots, because I recognized I was no longer happy doing what I was doing. I wasn't putting a smile on my face every day. So it was time for me to do something that I truly wanted to do. And now I get to share that with the rest of the world.
I love it. I love it, because I love doing this. I love doing these interviews and getting to know my guests more, and just, like peeling back those layers and really enjoying. I enjoy doing these interviews, and I hope as the audience is listening and experiencing it, that they enjoy it too. And and I hope my guests enjoy it too, because I try to put a smile. In fact, I'm not trying to put a smile on my face. I am smiling because I am enjoying it. I think that it's really the first time I've heard anybody say it that way. So thank you for that. That you really need to, when someone is unhappy in their job, we look at all these studies about disengaged workers and all.
Right.
Could it just be that they're not connecting their values to the company values? It hasn't been made that tangible for them, and what their role, how important their role is in the success of the company. And so I appreciate you sharing that. And with that note, we're going to end this wonderful conversation, because we've enjoyed it so much. We've had fun. And I really thank you so much, Dr. Ellen, for making the time to share with me on Leading with Audacious Confidence, really the keys to a successful leadership and leading yourself and leading others with confidence. And I hope, we can do this again sometime. Not on this format, but I have other shows.
Well, beautiful. Anytime, Alicia. It was my pleasure as well to be on your podcast and share, from my perspective, my thoughts and ideas about leadership. So I have thoroughly had fun as well. So thank you.
You're very welcome. So lead yourself, lead others, lead your teams with audacious confidence, step out boldly, and I will see you next time on another episode of Leading with Audacious Confidence. Thank you all for joining, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and to this podcast. Bye. Audacious confidence is the unshakable belief in yourself that's so brave and so bold that you step into what's possible despite your feelings, fears, or failures. I encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, and share this out with your friends. To check out more episodes of this podcast, visit our blog, aliciacurry.com/podcast. This is Alicia Curry inviting you to lead your life, your teams, and your organization with audacious confidence. Until next time.